This is the second side. Joe and Matt are right outside on the back porch. Matt's chewing Joe's sandal and his mouth is all dirty because the sandal's all dirty. But they're having a good time. They're my two men. Matt's really something. He's just like his father. He acts like him, looks like him. Just makes me laugh all the time. He's going to be a very nice man someday. Anyway, back to other subjects. I should tell you a little bit about what we've been doing. Joe's given me a couple illustration jobs. One was a series. Well, I didn't. I did one of a series of butterfly illustrations. It was a paper promotion for Crown Zellerbach Corporation, where they wanted some sort of gimmick to advertise a particular line of paper. So Joe commissioned many of his friends, various kinds of artists, to each do their own version of a butterfly in whatever medium they used on this particular paper, or at least it would be printed on this particular paper. So one person did a cookie butterfly, one did a neon butterfly, one did a stuffed butterfly, one did a chalk butterfly. Oh, there goes the door again. Bang. Oh. Ah. One did a chalk butterfly under the bridge ramp. I did a drawing, an ink drawing with a watercolor wash of a butterfly. One was wood carved. Anyway, they were all printed on this paper and all were then posters. And they were all folded together and made as a presentation package. So that was a very, very hefty commission I got from my husband. And it turned out he won a very big award in design for this project. So it was very nice. Then the next commission he gave me was for an annual report for a bank holding company that has offices or whatever in about 7 or 8 states. So he wanted illustrations indicative of each of these states. So I did skiers for Colorado and a Navajo lady weaving in Arizona and that kind of thing. Anyway, it took a lot of research and a lot of scrap file stuff to get the information, but I got a good bite out of that one too. So it's very nice when your husband hires you. Now the last thing that is in the works now is a children's book. A friend, or a friend of a friend, I should say, is a writer, and he got this deal going of Oregon stories for children, old Oregon. So Joe's the designer and I'm the illustrator. It's very little money. They're very limited budget, and it's a low budget job and all that, but it's kind of fun to think we're collaborating. We haven't really started yet. It's just all kind of hanging, but it's supposed to go ahead, so hopefully we'll really have a book out of it. If we do, you'll be sure and get a copy, don't worry. But right now there haven't even been sketches made, so I shouldn't talk about that one. But what it means is that I've had some work to keep me going, um, almost maybe a third or half as much as I would have gotten from any amount of teaching, little amount of teaching. So the money part of it has been good, and the pleasure part of it has been very good. And I have no interest in teaching as long as there's a kid at home, that's for sure. As far as my own artwork goes, I'm supposed to have a show this coming winter, so I'm starting to build up pieces of work. Haven't done any matting yet, just drawing, but at least it's on its way. Joe's work is going very well. He's long past the point where he has to worry if clients are going to come to the door, I guess. They keep coming. He does beautiful things. The one most exciting series, I suppose, is for a development right outside of Bend, Oregon, which is Central Oregon. That's Joe and the Ice. It's gin and tonic night, in case you're wondering what the ice is for. Oh, just a sec. Why don't you give Matt, see if he wants the rest of that juice.
Okay. What's the juice?
Um, I think Matt's thirsty too. He doesn't get a gin and tonic though. He gets apple juice. There's the bottle of apple juice is out too. Oh, that's a game he plays, Joe. Anyway, this place called Black Butte Ranch near Bend, Joe has done the photography and beautiful design pieces for it. So that's an incentive to come as we'll drive you to Black Butte Ranch. It's a beautiful place, a lovely lodge, and we could have a lovely meal, and you'd see all of Joe's graphics. Be a good sightseeing for you to go to Central Oregon. It's like, a sudden change in climate and environment. Just bingo, it's sort of like going to New Mexico. You just have clay cliffs and little scrub pines and sagebrush, and it's quite a change from western Oregon or Washington. Well, I think I'll turn this over to Joe just to say a few words with his gin and tonic. He's stirring it up, settling in. Oh, Matt just coughed on his apple juice. Here's Daddy.
Well, Elsa seems to have filled you up on just about everything, Fred, so I'll only kind of fill in here and there. Sort of remember that there's a fellow who works in our architectural office by the name of John Kyle, who seems to have been at Stanford with you for a year or so when you were there. He's been with us for about 2 years. Very, very nice fellow, sort of little on the heavy side and got a little bit of style, and him it looks real good. But I recall he said that he knew you and sort of asked from time to time what's going on with you. So far today I've worked on the yard and worked on the darkroom, and that darkroom is getting to be a real pain in the neck because I've been thinking about it for 5 years, and I've been planning it now for maybe 7 months, and actually been watching it being put in for the last 5 months. Well, since February, I guess that's almost 5 months, and here it is, almost July, and we're still putting in the last details. I'd say it's like 98% complete, but it's that last bits and things that you have to run around, pick up this, pick up one of those, pick up 2 of those, and that just seems to take forever because you just put it off until the last. And then I have more equipment to get, like my dryers, like my print washers and film washers. Those things I have ordered, and I don't know if they're in, but they might be. So I don't suspect I'll even be able to do any printing until probably 3 weeks from now. But at least there's an air conditioner in there, and if I don't print in there, I can go sit in there and sip wine and take the TV set in and just enjoy myself. You probably know that Elsa and I collect signs, neon signs and electrical signs, and every, I'd say, several months we find 1 or 2 new ones, and I'm sure you're going to be rather shocked when you see our house. But just the other day we looked around, and it seems like the house is always sort of crowded. Even though it's a big old house, it's 3 stories big old, but it's on each one floor, there's not that much room. So with all our collection of junk, we find ourselves being crowded out. So we, the other night, began to rethink some of the rooms, and by gosh, we switched the furniture around. We made some very striking kind of furniture changes and came up with what we think is the nicest arrangement yet. The old architectural trick of turning things on a 45-degree angle worked out just beautifully for us, and it increased the space and made things just fit remarkably. It's just funny how after living in a house 2-3 years with things the same way, you don't realize until all of a sudden that maybe things can be improved. So we found some new spaces, and we've got a heck of a lot of signs downstairs in the basement that we haven't even brought up. So I suspect that we've probably made a possibility of putting up a couple of the signs which we haven't had the chance to see before. And then of course we've got the whole second floor, which doesn't have any signs at all, come to think of it, except for Matt's sign in his own room. And Well, we still collect. We're collecting signs both because we like them, but because we think they're getting so rare and scarce that 20 years from now, the ones we have are going to be worth well, hardly a small fortune, but we're going to be worth something. And if we want to have an exhibit of just our signs, we might probably be able to do that anytime we wanted. We've already been asked if we wanted to show our signs in the show. And I'm saying no, not yet, because it's just a little too premature. We can always uh, we can always have a show in the future anytime we wanted, probably, if we just poked around and asked if anybody was interested. So we're not ready yet. We feel that maybe 5 years from now we can really put together a really strong electrical sign show exhibit. The dry weather is really hit here now. It's an east wind blowing. It's been in the 80s today. Tomorrow's going to be about 95. So I've been out, if Elsa didn't tell you, been out wandering around in the yard watering, turning on the sprinkler and moving that sprinkler. And got some trees out there that, I don't know, I doubt if they're not getting enough water, but they're turning a little yellow, and some of them are starting to dry, and I don't like the looks of it. I'm wondering if I haven't been giving them enough water. So I kind of started to drench one over there today. So I'm about to head out and make the rounds and start shifting everything around. So I'm going to leave here and turn it back over to Elsa. Give my best to Sulja and Angela Lee, and I hope that everybody is well. We certainly are here, and we look forward to hearing from you again. Goodbye, Fred.
Well, Joe's covered some things that I haven't. I'm trying to think what I haven't told you about. Daily life, gosh, daily life. It's probably not any different for me than it ever was here, but most people's daily lives here are very different than what you knew. In fact, the whole country's very different than what you knew. It's incredible. It's like 30 years of time in a way, the last 6, 8 years. Um, I just don't know how to express it, except that there have been so many changes in the mentality of people and behavior of people. Be very interesting for you when you return. We're curious when you say, okay, you say 75, you're going to return somewhere in 75. Is that for a visit? Is that for a long visit? Or is that to live? We're kind of curious. We assume it's got to be for some period of time, but we don't know for how long or what you're looking for in terms of work or where you plan to settle. So we'd love to hear more. We're still curious. We're still your long-lost family that, doesn't know if we'll ever see you again. We sure hope so. Trying to think what I can tell you. Oh, I can tell you that in one of my cookbooks, there was a recipe for Korean salad. And I don't know if it's Korean, but it's raw spinach and hard-boiled eggs kind of chopped up, and diced pork and bacon and water chestnuts and I think some bean sprouts. And the dressing is oil and vinegar and sweetened with sugar and soy sauce and ketchup. It was really good. It was a great one-course summer meal salad. But I have no idea if it's really Korean. But they called it Korean salad. So, I don't know. I do have a wok, W-O-K wok, Joe gave me for Christmas, Hanukkah, a couple years ago. It's an electric wok. It's a Teflon-lined electric wok. But it's really terrific. I can't fault it. It sounds pretty corny to have an electric wok, but gee, it's nice. We do a lot of steamed dinners where we stir fry vegetables and push them up to the side and stir fry more and more, and then we cover it all with spinach and steam it. And it's just delicious. So we eat like that a lot. In case I sound kind of plugged up, today was sort of the worst day of the world for my nose. I have sort of allergy in my nose, and somehow today, maybe it's hay fever, just really welled up. So if I sound all plugged up, it's because I am all plugged up. And I've gone through more Kleenex in one day than I do in a week. But it's the day I decided I gotta get this tape done or I'll never get it done. So, excuse my voice. The tape's gonna run out pretty soon. I don't know if there's anything else. Just to thank you again for the lovely gift for Matt. We love the little print and we love pictures and we certainly will send you again. What we've done is when we take every 6 weeks or so, we get a few reprints for Mom and then think, between Joe and his 8 siblings, he's got 7 sisters and a brother, and a lot of them are out of town. Between that and grandmas and everything else, and you and Alan and Jack, we just pick a few people every time. And so that's why you haven't gotten any recently. It's just so many relatives. So you'll get some soon. Matt doesn't have a lot of hair. He's kind of slow in the hair department, but he's sure a nice little guy. Couldn't help but like him if you met him. He's got the most beautiful smile in the world, and sparkly eyes, sweetest disposition. He's a good little guy. Well, I hope that you come over soon and you come to this area so we all can meet each other. At least Mom's met you, so that's our one link. But it's not the same as really getting to see you ourselves. It's been a long time. We're all getting old and gray. We're going to be old folks before we ever get together around here. Trying to think if there's any other news. I should tell you that Roger Amerton, whom you went to school with, is a dentist in town, and he was a friend of ours, and that's how I found out you knew him at the U. And anyway, I did some drawings for him of his dentist office, and he bought them, and he's got them up in his office. He liked my work, so I still have a job to do for him. I didn't get a good view of the dentist chair, and he wanted the chair. So I've got another drawing to do for him. But he always asks about you. He's a nice fellow, but we don't see him too often. Well, I can't think of anything else special to say. So I'll just say goodbye and happy summer. And please forgive us for being so terribly slow. And know that it's only because we get involved in our own little world here and not because we're not thinking of you, because we are. And we hope to see you soon.